Hello there, Qckslvrslash, and today I thought we'd look at something a little different. This is Neogramma Old School in the Japanese battleship the Fuso. Now, this is still a ranked game, one of the older ranked maps, and one of the things that still bothers me a bit about this map, and I kind of want to test it, but it seems like the team in the north always is able to get to A 2-3 seconds before the team in the south. And it can create a bit of a stagnant game because the team that has A will always be one tick ahead, and I've legitimately watched two teams sit in their caps for pretty much the whole game, no one wanting to make a move. And that's a kind of crappy thing that happens from time to time in ranked. It's not going to happen this time, but the Fuso is one of the ships that I thought would do quite well in ranked. And oddly, I haven't really played her myself. I played the Warspite a bit, I've played some of the cruisers a bunch, pretty much all the destroyers except the Gade, and I've found my home Farragut, mostly because I've got a lot of experience in US destroyers, so they're what I'm gonna sail. So, some of the Fuso's advantages, well, one of them is definitely long range, and while some may not consider this advantage, I think having the guns split up into more turrets is very advantageous. It can allow you, in some situations, to spread your fire out a little more. You know, when you have someone in close on low health, you're only shooting maybe 2 shells at them rather than 3, and that's minor, but it's something I always enjoyed about the Fuso. She is also quite accurate when you take into account the range she is firing at, and accuracy is a bit of a demon because there are all those hidden statistics, and I know there's people out there who think she's the least accurate ship, there's people who think she's the most accurate, and some of it just comes down to personal feeling, how it behaves for you. I know in ships and tanks there's been vehicles that I've absolutely loved, others have hated and been like, how can you like it? It's got the worst aim ever, and I don't know what to say, because to me it's been nothing but a sniper, and the Fuso's kind of one of those ships. I know people who have had a lot of trouble with her, and there's others who I think are more like me, find her to be. So far, Neogramma has managed just about 19,000 damage. Looks like the big hit was on that enemy Fuso, but now there's a side-on cruiser, that Bajoni, and he's making a bit of a mistake. Now, the Bajoni, I really think can be strong in this format, as it eats another Citadel, or, well, Neogramma gets a Citadel, it's the Bajoni's first, but you have to play it conservatively. The Cleveland, the DeGrasse, the same kind of things, really all the cruisers, you can't get that close. He was closer than most DDs would sail over to that cap, and was sailing in a straight line, detected. What do you expect to happen? And that's sadly something I've seen a lot of in rank too, is just people, you know, getting a little too aggressive early. You know, a DD running up the middle, or even a battleship trying to charge really early in the game when the entire enemy team's still there to shoot at them. Wait a while, let 1 or 2 ships die, then you can make your more aggressive moves. And Neo's doing pretty much what you'd expect a Fuso to do. Sitting further back because you've got the range. You don't need to be any closer, don't make shots at you any easier. And wow, enemy CV already dead. That's gonna be a big advantage for Neogramma's team. And I've actually been lucky. I think I've seen all of 1 CV in the past 3 or 4 days, and it's a bit of a blessing because disparate CV play really is one of the more frustrating things in ranked. And wow, Neogramma absolutely nailing that Graf Spee. Couple Citadels, that's all she wrote. So Neogramma's team still has that 1 ship lead in the form of the enemy carrier, and they've got the points, which means they can pretty much relax. But that's not something they're doing. You can see the Nebny down in the south chasing down a Byron, and It's always a funny thing to see Neo getting another Citadel. It's going to start to get old, up to 70,000 damage so far. And I don't know what that Nebney's doing. He's probably like 3 kilometers-ish from that Bayern, yet he's taken no damage. How's that even possible? Okay, there he goes. He eats some shells. I suspect he's trying to get close enough to throw the torps. There they are. And, well, they'll either hit the Bayern or they won't. But back to Neo, and another Citadel, about 17,000 damage on Poseidon DU. And the enemy ships are kind of making it easy. You can see the Nebney missed all the torps. Not a huge surprise there. It's a little too obvious when you're in a destroyer that you're running down a battleship what you're doing. But they've disengaged, they're going to be okay. Things have evened up, well, at least for a moment there, until Neo finishes off the enemy Fuso and they're back on top. Now things are probably going to get a little more difficult because the remaining enemy Fuso is pretty much sitting bow on, or at least mostly angled, or they were. But they turn to get around the corner, they're getting the rudder back, they're showing their side to a different ship. Neo may not have a great shot at the side, but just because you don't have one on one ship doesn't mean you can't hit another. Now I think those shots were a little highly aimed. The Bajoni looks to be angled in, but we will see a little bit high. Clipping the Citadel, 4 overpens, still doing damage. And the enemy team is kind of just disappearing. Neo's already gotten high caliber. Now, there's not a lot happening in this one. Enemy ships, kind of making easy targets. You had a single destroyer game, which I think is part of the reason there's not a lot of that sitting in smoke. Another Citadel, another kill. And with the enemies missing their CV, Neo and his team just have vision. And that makes things really easy. When you can see everywhere the enemy team is, it makes things easier. And there's the enemy destroyer. He sailed all the way around the outside of the map to try and chase down the carrier. And really, really hurt his team in doing so. Neo, meanwhile, up to 4 kills, 1 off of that Kraken, which in ranked is a hard thing to do because there's just not a lot of ships to shoot at. All but 1 of the kills so far have been at Neo's hands, and, well, takes a blind shot over a hill at a Nebney who's chasing down that friendly carrier. Will he do it in time? And at this point, the carrier, you can see, is just launching everything, probably hitting auto drop to just try and get something on that Nebney. What I do find a little interesting here is there's no decision to go for the cap. Now, granted, they've got the lead. It's 3 battleships, all on pretty full health against 1 BB and a Nebney, but in ranked, you can really fall behind quickly, or lose a lead quickly, I should say more accurately. And it looks like the Warspite has decided that, no, that's where I'm sailing. He's going to get to that cap, because taking capture points can be so critical. And it's a hard balancing act when to and when not to go for one. And in this situation, I think it's worth going to, just because if that Nebney decides to run, it ends the game more quickly. And if the Nebney starts killing things, it gives you a little security. But if you're in Neo's shoes, you're definitely going for this Nebney, because here's your chance at a Kraken in ranked, which, like I said, not a common occurrence. Takes a shot, connects a couple shells going right through the thin hull of that DD, and wiping a little more health off. And it's funny that the Nebney went right to the dead spot of that enemy CV, because the planes are going to go there. That's where they're going to sit. And it's keeping him spotted. And that's definitely a bit of a misplay on his part. And now you see what he's doing. He's turning in. He's coming for the torp run. I'm dead, might as well try to get damage, maybe save a star is probably what he's thinking. Not if Neo has anything to say. Gets the Kraken, and that's pretty much all she wrote. A Bayern versus 3 battleships who are about to have 2 of the caps. Be a pretty unlikely comeback story. Now, I think this battle really did highlight some of the Fuso's strengths. In the right hands, with the right targets, its guns are incredibly powerful in my opinion. You can just get into the citadels, they're accurate at range, they're accurate close in, and you've got 12 barrels. That's a 4 extra over something like the Bayern or Warspite. And granted, there's a caliber difference there, but sometimes quantity is better than quality. And especially true when you're spraying at things at long range. When you've only got 4 shells, and I find the German battleships really suffer from this, is they really appear to have bad accuracy. But I think it really comes down to just 2 barrels in each turret. It seems when you've only got 8 shells in the air that, you know, they're more spread out than they really are. Whereas if you have 3 barrels coming out of 1 turret, even if they're, you know, pretty dispersed, you've got a tighter group of shells. Now the question becomes, can Neo get 6? He's got a Bayern in close. If he went for the ram here, he could probably do it, but the Bayern's giving him a nice side shot. Rips into him, I think a little bit high. 6 pens though, gets some more damage, and now he's got to get that rudder over, because the one thing the Fuso definitely doesn't have is strong armor. And see, even those secondaries doing some pretty good damage when they're connecting well. And the primaries just rip into him. Here comes the last shot. Can he beat the ram? Oh, no ram gonna happen. Big hit there, 12,554. And sadly, probably means Neo's not going to get the final kill, because the Bayern now is probably going to get taken out by his doppelganger. Or at least that's what you'd expect. Who is going to get the kill? Can you get 6? There it is, and the game.
And I really hope this match served to really emphasize some of the Fuso's strengths. And obviously, you've got to be good at range. And Neo definitely was. Starting the game out, hitting the targets at long range, just plunging citadels into target after target. 448,000 credits, 5,000 experience. He got Dreadnought, Confederate, High Caliber, Devastating Strike, Kraken, got 6 kills, almost 157,000 damage. And those 7 citadels really chopping health off of targets quickly. And this is why I thought the Fuso would be a strong ship. But obviously you need the right situations. And that can be the frustrating thing in ranked, is sometimes you'll swap ships because you've just been seeing the same thing time and time again. So you try to adapt, and then of course that's the game. It doesn't work out for you. And you can't say that about this one. It definitely worked out for Neogramma, and I can only assume this game was on the EU, and I hope things are going well for everyone over there in ranked. You can see his team getting the stars, the enemy team not so lucky, their Bayern being the one to keep it, and really that came down to him being the last thing around. Got a bunch of damage as things charged him, and that can be frustrating, is the battleships that really aren't part of the game. Now granted, he got chased off by an Evney, but what was he over there for in the first place is kind of what I wonder. And I've definitely seen some play in some games where people are just playing to keep their star, and it's the most frustrating thing. And I wish Wargaming would get rid of that and find some other way of deciding who keeps a star, because you see players play in a counterintuitive way just so they don't lose a star if it's a loss, and then just hoping maybe the team can carry a win. Anyways, I hope everything's going well for everybody in their ranked seasons. I hope everyone enjoyed this. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. And as always, I'm Qckslvrslash. I'll have another one for you all later.